I love Hamidakapi. Hello, relatives. It's good to see you all on this beautiful day, right? We're actually not baking in 95 degrees, right? Isn't that great? My name is Lakota Harden, Tashina Skawi, Machiapi, Amia Malakota, Naho-Chunk, and I lived in the Bay Area for 28 years, so this is one of my homes. But as Native people, we belong everywhere, right? Everywhere is our home. And I just want to take a count here. How many of you were at the sunrise gathering? I know a lot of people listened to their bodies and their sleepy eyes and went home, but you guys listened to your heart and you said, we need more of those healing drums. We need more of that beautiful healing, centuries old dancing, right? So thank you for being here. And all of you who didn't make it and who are here now for this, raise your hand. Yay, you made it! We're so glad you're here. We are very grateful to Yerba Buena Gardens and everybody involved. There's many organizations that put this together. And I was thinking as I was driving in traffic coming up to here, I thought, I get asked to do this once in a while, right? And I did it for decades without any kind of pay or anything. I just did it because my heart was in it, right? And now we live in a time where Indigenous people are being recognized and paid and acknowledged and valued, and I'm glad I'm alive to see it. So thank you, because this is valuable to us. It means more than anything to us, our culture. Everything was done to try to wipe us out, and we're still here. Our languages are still alive. We're learning. Our young people have returned from the ancestors to help us out. So all you young people, thank you for coming back and helping us in a time when our grandmother Earth needs it the most, right? And there are many sponsors to this, but one of the most important who have been coming up on their 50-year anniversary is the International Indian Treaty Council. So I want to first present to you Andrea Carmen from International Indian Treaty Council.
Oh, this. Liosim Chaneabo Umawayam. I say Liosim Chaneabo, you say Chokwe. Okay? Liosim Chaneabo Umawayam. Chokwe. Ah, oui. That's Yaqui. Yaqui indigenous language. One of the original languages of the many hundreds of this land. You know, the United Nations is going through the International Decade of the World's Indigenous Languages. And one of the 6 countries of the world where they identified indigenous language as being the most threatened was the United States of America. And there's lots of reasons for that. One is, of course, forced assimilation through the boarding schools. But also we have to make that commitment to make sure that whatever little bit of our language that we still have, we speak that to our children and make sure that they are more fluent than we are. But I want to talk about this day. I want to talk about the beautiful sunrise gathering we had this morning, and thank you, those of you that were there. Maybe we could wait with the construction over here. Quizás podamos esperar en la construcción, hermanos, ¿verdad? Porque se hace mucho ruido. Could someone ask them to maybe stop the drilling for the moment? Thank you. We had Indigenous representatives and cultural leaders and participants from Indigenous nations in California, throughout North America and Mexico, and we blessed each other with the sharing that we have of our resilient living cultures, despite on the 12th of this week, October 12th, having endured 531 years of deliberate genocide and colonization. We have survived. We still have our ways, we still have the dances, we still have the songs that you're going to be able to share today through the generosity of our Indigenous brothers and sisters that, despite what we've endured, still want to share who we are with our brothers and sisters, Indigenous and not Indigenous. This event, in particular, commemorates an action by the City and County of San Francisco Board of Supervisors in 2018 through a proclamation to declare that here in San Francisco there would be no more celebration of Colonial Pirate Day, aka Columbus Day. From now on, we will only have Indigenous Peoples Day. So this is what we're all part of, that history, that action that the city of San Francisco took to recognize what had happened to the Indigenous peoples that one time lived freely and in multitude here and now what's called the city of San Francisco, and further than that, Northern California. The Indigenous peoples that paid the price for the establishment of this city, the establishment of the missions, the exploitation of the gold in California, gold, greed, and genocide, we say. That same year, just a few months afterwards, they took an action which I think we should all recognize here. The action was to remove what was called the Early Days statue. I was very honored to be able to be there that day and watch it being removed. A priest, a miner, and an Indigenous person laying on the ground. That statue was in the City Hall Plaza for at least 80 years, maybe 100 years. And for the last 30 years, Indigenous peoples from California had protested it as a symbol of racism and genocide that happened right here. So I guess better late than never, the city decided to remove it finally. But you know what? They had to do it before sunrise because they knew there would be a racist backlash. They knew that. So that's the kind of life that we still have to assert for ourselves here, and we appreciate each and every one of you as supporters of a continued struggle of Indigenous peoples here in San Francisco, in Northern California, in what's now called the United States of America, and throughout the hemisphere and the world. And with that, I welcome you on behalf of the International Indian Treaty Council to the 5th commemoration of Indigenous Peoples Day here in San Francisco. Thank you.
We would like to start now with the opening from our Ohlone relative here.
Can I hear a good oh for our auntie? Oh! Mishmi Tuhis, Karnakat Canyon, Coyote Woman, Sarah's Roots. It's a good day to be Indigenous. I come from Indian Canyon Nation, the only federally recognized Indian country between Sonoma and Santa Barbara along central coastal California. That being said, I came a long way to be here, so I want us to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of this territory. So I encourage you to speak with me. Can I hear you say Yalamu? Yalamu. Can I hear you say Ramatush? Ramatush. And I'm going to invite you to speak my language. Ama Piritakawas. Ama Piritakawas. You're acknowledging the first words and the first languages and a community way of acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of this land. Before San Francisco was known as San Francisco, this space is known as Yalamu. Before the English language was spoken here, before the Spanish language was spoken here, Ramatush was the first language. And the association of Ramatush Ohlone people are still here, still very active in their community, protecting their sacred sites and connecting with community for cultural revitalization, language revitalization, community education, community outreach, and ongoing curriculum efforts to ensure that we honor truth and history. Coming from a matrilineal, matriarchal society, my mother, Anne Marie Sayers, and her mother, Elena Sayers, from the land of my ancestors, Ama Pititakawas in the Mutsun language means people of this land. By acknowledging we are in community together, we can honor Indigenous protocol by becoming familiar with the Indigenous peoples and the histories of these spaces and places in this post-colonial settler society. So to honor my mother, to honor my grandmother, I want to offer a grandmother song. Because my mother and my grandmother taught me when song, ceremony, and dancing stops, so does the earth. So just because you can't commodify your two left feet, just because you may have a tone-deaf voice does not mean you should stop singing, does not mean you should stop dancing. And we are here in ceremony, in ritual, in community. So let us not stop praying for this Mother Earth. So this is Canyon's grandmother song. Moi moi o kawan, moi moi o ka, moi moi no, moi moi o ko, moi moi o ne, o konale, moi moi o konale, moi moi o kawan, moi moi o ka, moi moi no, moi moi o ko, moi moi o ne, o konale, moi moi o konale, moi moi o kawan, moi moi o ko, moi moi no, moi moi o ko, moi moi o ne, o konale, moi moi o konale. No son and big oh! So welcome to Yalamu. We are still here. And if any of you have students, I have educational materials right under that double tent where teachers, educators, teaching the teachers to ensure that we have a culturally sensitive, culturally appropriate way to navigate conversations of honoring truth and history and honoring our ancestors. Oh!
We are honored today to have a guest that is here for the first time. He came out to Alcatraz Island for the first time. And you know, the history books say we all died. Well, the first islands they visited, there were many tribes that are still alive. And here's one of them, Taino leader, Roberto Barrero, coming all the way to you from the east.
Taigwe hitiaono diri mukaro agwebana boriken taino daka koai daka koai daka koai daka. Can anybody translate that for me? Well, don't worry if you can't. We tried to speak that way to Columbus. He didn't understand, and it's been 500 years of misunderstanding ever since. But I'm very happy to be here, very honored to be here and to have been a part of the ceremony this morning at Alcatraz. And right now we're getting a little blessing. But it's really, really wonderful to see all of you and what you've been able to mobilize with regards to the changing of that day of infamy to Indigenous Peoples Day, now a celebration of resistance. And so I just wanted to come and share a few words. I spoke at the beginning in my language, which is not English or Spanish or any other colonial language, but the language of my ancestors. And as our sister Lakota stated, you know, there are many of our people throughout the islands and the diaspora who are involved in the revitalization of the culture. So with that, I just want to share a song. You know, I'm not here to speak more about Cristobal Colon, whose name translates to the Christ-bearing colonizer. Just to say that, you know, around this country and elsewhere, you know, Indigenous peoples are rising up and coming together. And so I'm very happy to be part of this circle here. But I'm just going to share a song and then we're going to have one of the dance groups present. Thank you. Oh, kama watukan semi. Oh, kama watukan semi. Ariko, ariko semi achiano. Ariko, ariko semi koromo. Ariko, ariko semi rakuno. Ariko, ariko semi sobaiko. Ariko, ariko baba yokaho. Ariko, ariko bibi atabeira. Bomatum watukan semi. Bomatum watukan semi. Our home relatives, it's a real honor to be here. I hope to meet some of you in a little while as we're celebrating the rest of the day. Just calling in a little bit of the spirits from where I'm from, just alerting them to what we're doing here, just honoring again finally the sky and the earth. So thank you, Lakota, for having me and giving me some time here.
And again, as he said, we are being blessed with some beautiful rain, and we have our relatives from Shingle Springs here right in California.
I see so many.